Welcome, my beautiful souls, and welcome, my gorgeous Leos. This is going to be your July 2025 reading. This is going to be for Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Many of you are intuitively guided. You're paying attention to your intuition. Um, what you're really doing is you're paying attention to the signs that your guides are sending you. And I mean that as in many times there could be a reading. I'm not talking about just my reading that, something catches your attention, but yet you continue to scroll on, but then something calls you back. Well, that's your guides. That means that there's a message in here for you, no matter what your sign. Like your guides will use any means possible, and they know I'm an open vessel for them of the light. So, um, some of you could certainly be in love with the Leo. I have a lot of Leo love in my life, platonically and romantically, by the way. So let me give a couple shout outs real quick. Shout out to my grandson, Lexington, who opens up the Leo season on July 23rd. My mom was August 5th. My son was August 12th. Many of you know he crossed over in 2018. Um, my soul sister Diane, who I have not seen for a while. And it's interesting because she channels my son often. And then she said to me one day, I don't need you, or you don't need me anymore. And I'm like, well, yes, I do. So Diane, I need you. I'm kidding though. Um, and then Sam, my boyfriend, my love, um, who really is a Virgo, but he's on the other side of the cusp. He's August 23rd. So, some astrology would have him as a Leo anyway, but he is a Virgo, but he does have those Leo tendencies. Okay, so thank you for that, for giving me the time for that. So I just want to let you know, like, and many of you already know this, before I begin a reading, um, I let the cards call to me to decide which cards we're going to use. Certain decks we use every time, like Mother Mary, the major arcanas, use those for bullet points. Um, but anyways, when I'm in that energy, it's really where I'm just opening myself up. And I have to tell you, there are some things that I got. And the number one word I got for you is bright. Bright. Like bright. And I don't know, I see it in like ideas, but I also feel like the path is opening up for you. I do feel like there's going to be a lot of advancements in your professional life, whether you own your own business or you work for the man or the woman, so to speak. I feel like you're going to start seeing some, well, recognition, but also rewards. I definitely was feeling that this is going to be a month of, well, it gives you an opportunity to deepen existing relationships. And again, love, but platonically and romantically. Um, and the energies in Cancer may also bring back some past encounters. I know some of you are like, I'm tired of talking about people of the past, but the truth is that is my life. As many of you know, Sam and I met, we were teenagers, and then split, and then 40 years later, out of the blue, um, we reconnected. So I can't leave that off the table, but I feel that for some of you. Um, but I also feel there's a sign that's attached to that. Um, from your spirit guides. So, one of the signs, first of all, you'll feel it. Trust your intuition. But I feel through conversation, and I feel like you're going to pick this up very quickly. You're going to notice that you have a lot of shared interest. And that's the clue, shared interest. So, I don't know. That may mean that, yeah, I mean, that's all I got, but I feel like that means that there's an opportunity to take that further. Um, oh, what is it? Okay, looking for a job also. This is a great time if you're looking for a job. As long as you're being proactive, I have a feeling a lot of you are going to find, not just a job, but maybe the perfect job. So be proactive. Your money wants to do well, but it does need your effort behind it. And last but not least, I feel like any challenges you face this month is going to lead to valuable lessons that really can help you grow both personally and spiritually. Personally and spiritually. This could lead you on a completely unexpected path, yet with marvelous opportunities. And it's interesting because the word marvelous, I don't use that very often, but I wrote it down. So I feel like someone out there does, and I do feel like, we're all soul connected. These readings are soul to soul, you know. I am an open vessel for our guides of the light to bring you, what you need to hear, how you can reach those goals. Some of you, if it's about love, you know, I hope your reading is as clear it can be. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to bring the lid down. Um, so we will let Mother Mary open up the reading, give her the honor. I switched out the deck that I usually use for clarifying, and I'm using the Crystal Vision instead. And I'm doing this because someone reached out and said that they missed this deck. I used to use it all the time. It's interesting when new decks come in, old decks tend to get pushed back. But she asked if I would use it again, and I thought, of course I'll use it again. So I decided to use it in this reading. Um, but I may use it as a main spread also in another reading. But for you, we're going to use it as your clarifiers. We'll put that over there. Your main spread is going to be the Psychic Tarot. So let's go ahead and start with Mother Mary. And again, everything is pre-shuffled. But I do like to give it a shuffle or two with you here. Okay, that didn't take long. Oh my gosh. Marriage, love and marriage, love and marriage. Wow. Marriage. I make a commitment to a healthy relationship with God, myself, and my partner. No wonder I was feeling that energy. And then love. I already know what it says. Love is the answer to all of my questions. Love is the answer to all of my questions. Marriage and love. How about that, Leo? And for those who aren't married, then that signifies a commitment, like, a true commitment. Wow. All right. If I wasn't excited before, Now I'm even more excited. Let's get this a cut. Excuse me. Hmm. Justice. Carta Libra. It is about balance. That's what justice ultimately is looking for, balance, but it's for you. Remember, justice, when it's in your reading, it's about what's fair and just for you. Sometimes it can signify that there's something that is leaving you in an unbalanced state. But this is like, it's interesting. I was going to say it gives you the authority, but I don't know why I'm saying authority to use this sword and cut those ties. Because what that does, it brings you back to balance. Justice is about making you whole again. So, what's ever been unfair, I feel like here's an opportunity to balance the scales. Balance the scales. We do have marriage, and, I hate to even say this, but justice can represent, um, a divorce. But, in my readings, I don't tell you, like, I don't make predictions. Um, and what do I mean by that? I mean that if, let's say, this is representing a divorce, then it's something that you already want. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not predicting someone wants to divorce you. Because remember, justice is here for you. But it can represent the law, it can represent karma. Remember, I was saying some of those challenges you may face, but they're really, really stepping stones. So maybe if we look at them that way, look at that, your major arcana, strength card, looking within. It's looking within, but also pulling on the wisdom of your spirit guides and your angels, your whole spiritual team. Yeah, she's wearing the infinity symbol as goggles. She has tamed the lion, and the lion to me represents like our shadow self. And it's not that we want to get rid of our shadow self, we need it sometimes. But this is taming that part of ourselves. It's balancing it. So maybe this balance was really for you. And then think of 8 as a new beginning. The strength card ultimately results in courage. And that's something no one can take away from you. We have the wheel. And let's give one more round, see if anything else wants to come out. Okay. All right. So we have the wheel, which is your destiny. And now I get why using that sword's important. This means to me that, you're probably moving into a destined time. I can't help notice that this person's got a blindfold on, and it just reminds me of Blind Faith. Beautiful song by Bob Seger, by the way. And what else I notice is there's people in line, like So even though everyone's blindfolded, there doesn't seem to be fear attached to it. It's almost like you're trusting in your guides. And, whatever opportunities you want to show, your guides want to show you. I feel like this is like representing you being open to that. There may just be one thing, one little thing, and we'll see. I mean, it'll reveal itself. That may, it's almost like there's a little bit of a wedge in the wheel right now. And I do feel like it has to do with the sword of justice. Okay, well, let's bring in the psychic tarot and let's go deeper. See where the wheel is taking you, what kind of adventure you're about to embark on. And Leo, you love adventure. I have to say, something I miss about my son so much is him and I used to go on adventures all the time. Like we would go to, well, I remember when we moved to Rhode Island. I'm not there any longer, but when we first moved there, um, we drove, like we moved to northern Rhode Island, and we drove from the north the whole way down to the bottom of the state, and we stopped at every beach along the way so that we could find like our beach. And we ended up going to a place that I ended up moving to years later. And got out of the car and he looked at me and he's like, "Do you dare?" And I'm like, "What?" And it was like March, so the water's very cold in Rhode Island at that time. He's like, "Do you dare?" I'm like, "I dare. Do you dare?" And we got out of the car and we just ran into the ocean. Um, so all I'm saying is I feel like, that's just one of many stories. But when I say adventure, that's what I feel like. Like you're just picking up and you're going on this adventure. It's interesting because I'm looking at the strength card now and it kind of reminds me of like Africa, like a safari. Hmm. Definitely let me know if anyone's gone on a safari. We have conflict and defeat, but don't freak out because I feel like this is part of it. It is the first card also, so that's good. But it's really learning how to get through this. I feel like it's not about, we can't ignore it. We've got to walk through it. But walking through it is, again, where you're learning some valuable lessons. It is a five, so it does want change. So it's not energy you're meant to stay in, but you're learning something here. And for some of you, it's just like, I'm learning that I need to use this sword. This person's like running down the steps, like they're running away. Hmm. Yet they see this candle down here. It's like this little flame. I feel like they know what that little flame means, or let's just say represents, and they're looking at it. All right, we have transformation. That's the death card. And then we have the Seven of Swords. Interesting. We're going to take five across, by the way. We have temptation. And then we have partnerships and alliances. Bring this down a little bit more. Interesting. Okay. So right in the middle, right now, we have the Seven of Swords, deception and envy. And on one side of it, we have the devil, which is the card of Capricorn. It's called temptation here. On the other side of it, we have the death card, the closing of doors, the closing of a chapter. That might be partly why I feel like there's this little wedge in the wheel. And again, using that sword, I feel like can cut that wedge out to get everything moving. But it definitely feels like you've been dealing with some dark energy. And looks like you're putting an end to it. That's what it looks like. It looks like you're putting an end to it. Put these in the middle. I feel a few different things, but I feel number one, this is about you looking within. And this is asking yourself, is there anything that's been holding you back? Something that you have control over. This is not about other people. This is something that you can control. Now, it can be other people's energy um, that somehow, some way, you kind of got stuck in that web because deception and envy, it's really untrustworthy energy. I often feel that is someone who tells a lot of lies, you know, it's like you can't believe them. Part of me wonders though, is there something you're holding back from yourself that you can clear? Or maybe you have cleared, but it does feel like it was important. Justice coming, or the death card coming under justice. So that sword literally closes a chapter. And that means a new chapter is ready to open. But I feel like here's these lessons. Here's the lessons that, or let's say the challenges that turn into real lessons that become, the more informed you, the wiser you, the more spiritual you. And, I feel like sometimes we got to walk through the dark to appreciate the light. And some of you, that's what you've been doing. You've been walking through the dark. But I have a feeling like I see the devil has his finger on the light. It's like I got my pulse on the light. So I feel like this means you're emerging. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's someone who I would say would be like a helping hand to you, someone close. Now, this may be even a spirit guide because I feel like they're like saving you in a way. Interesting. It's like saving you from yourself. But I mean that just in not all areas of your life. There just seems to be something that you may have a tendency towards. And maybe it's just keeping, your eyes wide open. And if temptation tries to show, if this is something that you've gotten over and it tries to show, Well, I feel like at this point, especially with your spiritual team, you know, showing us what I felt. All right, well, let's go underneath it. Patience, temperance, patience, my child. Well, I'd be like, okay, but I prefer it now versus later. This is about trusting in divine timing. But I have to say, I feel like sometimes divine timing is waiting on us also. And again, without judgment. So when the timing is right for you, the timing is right. But to me, this represents something that's opening up in divine timing. And maybe the use of that sword is that much more important. And using that sword can even be your own thought system. Maybe I didn't think I was good enough. But that's not true. Maybe I didn't think I could accomplish my dreams, but that's not true. And I feel like chances are if there's any lack within your abilities, I feel like it's someone else's voice in your head. Because I feel like every negative thing that you say, your spirit team says, well, that's not true. I'm not good enough. Well, that's not true. I can't succeed. Well, that's not true. I'll never find great love. Well, that's not true. Interesting. Then we get the Six of Cups. Wow. Memories of love. Six of Cups is about nostalgia. It's happier times. Can certainly represent someone, you know, of the past, but this would be someone that you would have happy memories of. Let's just say when you think about them, if you do think about them, because they may be thinking about you, then it would bring a smile to your face. It's interesting how she's laying in bed because I often feel when I'm going through a hard time, let's say this is like a relationship that is not going, especially with the Seven of Swords, doesn't feel like it would be going in your favor. She may fantasize about someone from back in the day. And I know that energy because, as I was going through difficult times in my life, I remember there was many times I would just, lay my head down on the pillow and I would think about Sam. And I'd think about, I wonder how it would have been if we stayed together. 13, 14, 15. Sorry. 5, 6, 7. Anyway, so I kind of loved Temperance before that. Carter Sagittarius, by the way. I feel like Divine is also saying, really, any conflicts that come before you, once you have, like, let's say, regained your inner power, your inner courage, which is exactly what I feel is happening, then, sometimes what you're learning is what you do not want. Sometimes what you're learning is how to really trust energy. The Seven of Swords definitely means someone working against you. And, maybe I didn't see it. Maybe I didn't Or maybe there was a red flag, but I ignored that red flag, which many of us do. Um, and again, it's not about judgment of that. It's just, I feel like, how did I end up here? But you're not stuck. Hello, Nine of Cups. Beautiful. Here it's called fulfillment of wishes. It's really about inner harmony, rest and rejuvenation. This is the Four of Swords. And it's interesting because I didn't write it down. But I felt this sense of when you are feeling not quite yourself. I felt one of the best things you could do is go out into nature, go on a hike. I mean, even just look at this person, right? They're just sitting next to this old tree, which to me represents wisdom, millions of years of wisdom. And this person's has their hands open. So it is about healing. But I don't feel like this person, first of all, they're not in bed crying. And I kind of love the Nine of Cups before that because this is inner harmony. And I feel like you're finding it through becoming grounded. But also, you may pick up some spiritual messages, when you bring yourself to center. There's a fulfillment of a wish or wishes. So, how beautiful the Temperance is opening up this line. Completely different than the top line. I definitely feel for some of you, you're moving into a single status, but this is if this is what you want. Because I'm not sure how long you could take conflict and defeat, deception and envy and temptation. Some of it can be you, but listen, the one thing you do have power over is you. Maybe if the Seven of Swords is someone else, I may not have power over them, but I have power over my choices and my decisions because I feel like you are closing that door. And that, I feel, is what brings you this inner harmony. And nines, I often feel, are singular. Doesn't mean it has to stay that way because, again, Temperance opening up this line. Nine of Cups, fulfillment of wishes, healing process taking place. Like, looks good. We have wisdom, the Hierophant, um, mirroring Temperance. Wow. And then we have choose wisely. No, no pressure here. Choose wisely. That's an emotional decision. It's interesting because it's coming over the Hierophant, Carter Taurus, by the way. But the Hierophant, number 5, I feel like what it wants you to do is question your life. Am I living life according to my terms? Are there things that I just know by eliminating or sweeping out the door is really a symbol to the universe that I'm open, right? I'm open to whatever divine wants to bring in. I feel like you should never worry about when you see Temperance and it talks about divine timing. And then you have a 5 over here, so change. Remember how I said one of the signs I felt like for those who are single, were going to be shared interest. But that's kind of what I feel in the Hierophant. Morals, but aligned, spirituality. You know, it doesn't mean we're exactly the same. We could have different opinions, but we're both very curious about it. You know what I mean? So something is coming in. It is of emotional nature. I do feel like it has to do with the Nine of Cups. I like that it's coming over the Hierophant. So it's really saying use your own wisdom, especially from the experiences you've already had. I kind of love partnerships and alliances above that because remember how I said I felt like this is somebody helping? But just look how they're holding each other. Not like a handshake. So you know this person. You know them well. Maybe very well. Could be someone you already know. It's interesting because I say it often like, don't wait for someone else to come in and save you. You can save yourself. And I know some people feel like, well, no, I can't. Let me tell you, I've been in some impossible positions. Or just, I've been there where I just could not see the light. But eventually I found that light. you know, I've been in that area where I really was wishing someone would come in and save me, but nobody did. So I had to save myself. But, as I'm saying all that, I just get this feeling that there is someone. Look at the bottom of the deck. Three of Cups. Rejoice in celebration. This is the energy of joy, my friends. The waiting game. Under that. So I feel like if you've been waiting for anything, Three of Cups is like the celebration over it. Or let's say if someone's had you in like this waiting pattern, I kind of feel like you're not taking that anymore. I feel like the top line has to be dealt with or has been dealt with to open up the Nine of Cups. Again, inner harmony, but also fulfillment of wishes. But look at the cups all before it. Six of Cups. Mm-hmm. Even the Death card. And I say that because sometimes their past life, this could be a past life soulmate. And it's interesting how I'm saying love. Doesn't have to be love. This could be like an old friend who reaches out of the blue. But something is telling me, or let's just keep both on the table for right now. All right, let's bring in the Crystal Vision. We're going to give him a shuffle. One more shuffle. Boy, something told me like, okay. I was like, oh my gosh, am I even recording? That was weird. All right, we're going to start at the top, but read it as a whole, or we're going to start at the beginning and read it as a whole. Look at that. The tower. The tower. Over conflict and defeat. Chances are it's an ending. You're either giving this tower or maybe you received this tower. Either way, I feel like the day, because listen, I feel like we want to change this top line. So even if this tower was difficult, I feel like it's telling us the day will come where we will look at that tower and be thankful for that tower. Why? Because it's really the ability to eliminate conflict. Some of you, it can certainly represent the losing of a job. Um, we have the King of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Doesn't have to be, though. It's the King of Action. Probably you, but we'll see. Let's keep going. Male or female, by the way. We have the Nine of Pentacles over the Seven of Swords. And then we have the Two of Pentacles over Temptation. Interesting. So I feel a couple different things here. Number one, I feel like something may have happened, like in your money house, let's say. Whether I lost a job, I made a decision to change a job. Maybe you made the decision to go on your own. I love the Nine of Pentacles just came out, and it is touching your major arcana with the Nine of Cups right below it. So the Nine of Pentacles talks about successful self-employment. It is about reaping the harvest of your hard work. What I love about the Nine of Pentacles is you are the main benefactor of the Nine of Pentacles, of this hard work. But it's like, I feel like once the Pentacles, or let's just say, how do I want to say this? Like once the money is released, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So some of you have made a bold choice in starting your own business. But listen, maybe part of you, I feel like you dealt with something very difficult. Um, let's just say at your workplace. There could have been someone who was stealing your ideas, going behind your back, um, causing you, like this is what I feel like. If it wasn't for maybe a certain energy, then I'd get up in the morning and be more happy about going to work. But I feel it for some, and this may have already happened, and chances are already has, but I feel this sense of like agony, anxiety, just the thought of going to work. Now, not in the Nine of Pentacles, before that. It's like some of you are taking your wisdom, everything you know, and because we have the Nine of Pentacles tells me you're very good at what you do, or you will be very good at what you do. And, it's interesting because let's just say you did lose a job, which is very difficult. I know that. But boy, do I feel like your spiritual team, like they have your back. So this is definitely a time, like all of a sudden, I feel like fairy dust everywhere, like where, remember how I said like unexpected paths are going to open up? I kind of feel that with the Nine of Pentacles. But you're taking the wisdom, you're taking all that you know, and now you're using it for yourself. So someone's going to regret. Like, let's say you got fired. I have a feeling they're going to regret it because maybe they believe someone over you. Hmm. Now, I feel like that's just one scenario, but I definitely feel that. And it may have taken you some time to make that ultimate decision. So let's just put it this way. Whether you, whatever the tower took away, it now gives you the opportunity to live life really in the way that you've always pictured it. And maybe without that tower, I would have stayed in the same old, same old. I would have still woken up every day in that same angst of having to go to work. Where now I can work in my pajamas. It's like me, right? It's like, what is it, professional on top, pajamas on the bottom. Not pajamas, but I don't know, lounge pants. Okay, let's keep going. So we have the Two of Pentacles. Question. Two Pentacles, they call it the Juggler's card. I call it using your logical mind. It is about making a decision. And I love the Four of Swords underneath you making a decision because this is coming from, let's just say, a much more healed you, a much more open-minded, believing in yourself now. It's hard to make a Leo not believe in themselves, but it doesn't mean that you still don't have to deal with, you know, some difficult people. All right. It's so funny, like when I'm shuffling, every once in a while, just out of the blue, I'll say all right, and I always get a card. It's like my guides are waiting for me to say all right, but I didn't know that. All right. We have the High Priestess. This is your intuition. This, my friends, is your GPS in this lifetime. This is what you want to trust over everything and anyone. Your intuition. It's like your intuition's kind of been leading the way, but you just had to believe in it. In with the Seven of Swords, because it is something that you had to overcome. You may have, and I get it, where you may have like stayed too long, like stayed at the party too long, but when it was right for you, it was right for you. I just love these two nines together with your major arcana connected to them. This is abundance, this is inner harmony, and fulfillment of wishes. So let's get to it. I don't know why I just stopped. We have the Eight of Pentacles. So, over temperance. Divine timing. Eight of Pentacles talks about the willingness to go into something as the apprentice, but knowing that if you put your focus on it, that it will just grow, that you one day will be the master teacher, what's already showing you as the master teacher. So I feel like temperance is just saying, the things that we thought were the end was really just the beginning. Yes, it's different, it's new. That can, for some, I don't really see it for you, Aries, for Leo. Like, I don't feel you being hesitant for too long. But that Eight of Pentacles may be what some of you needed to hear. Like, can I be successful creating my own business? And this would say, as long as you're willing to put the focus, the work in, then you will be successful. The Eight of Pentacles really answers any question. Can I be successful? Let's say it's talking about love. As long as you're willing to focus on it, and you can focus on more than one thing. But man, this is really showing the progression within your money. But it's like you are taking the lead here. We'll come back and look at that tower. We have, interesting, the Hierophant again. So double Taurus in this line. Now the Hierophant's right over the Six of Cups. Some of you may be interested in a Taurus. Or you may be meeting. Well, okay, let me say that again. This reminds me of what I was picking up before I started your reading, where some of you are meeting people who your clue is that you have similar interest. And that's exactly what the Hierophant wants you to question. Your morals, your faith. Do you keep hope alive? I often feel the Hierophant is blessing whatever situation is coming over. So, memories of love. Some of you, this could even be someone who does something very similar, like how they make their money. We have the Hangman. And then we have the Three of Pentacles. I just have to say, your money just keeps getting better and better. Three of Pentacles is really other people admiring you for what you do. It is all about your individuality. And, no excuses for it. It's you being you. Some of you, it's you making this ultimate decision. But this is about recognition and reward. This Eight of Pentacles, I don't know. For a few of you, this could be someone that you may meet someone that, through your work, but it may be in an unconventional way. What else I love is this tells you that, once you've cleared this energy, like to be proud of who you are, And that means all parts of yourself. You know, we all have the shadow side. We just do. And the light side. Interesting that the hangman is kind of putting a pause in the action, almost like holding on to these fulfillment of wishes. So let's continue and see why. The magician. Well, because it takes you, your energy, your ability to manifest. How beautiful we have the magician and the high priestess together. The fool's two greatest mentors along any new path. You know, in that tarot course I started, I broke down the fool, the high priestess, and the magician. Interesting how I said that out of order again, because that's how I did them. I did the fool. I should have done the magician second and then the high priestess, but I did the fool, the high priestess, and then the magician. I don't know why. But anyways, when I say the fool, we're always the fool for anything new. And you have a few new things opening up. So I feel like temperance is like waiting for you. For what? To trust your intuition. And it's coming over the Seven of Cups where you are making a choice over a cup. Well, the cups represent something emotional, you know, can be love. Let's go underneath. We have the Three of Swords. Interesting. Three of Swords mirroring the Tower. So, you know, unfortunately, the Three of Swords, it is heartache. It can feel like loss. It is mirroring the Tower. We have the waiting game underneath. Rejoice and celebration, the energy of joy. I feel like with the Three of Swords and the Tower, there can't be joy there, right? So this is about the moving on from that. And Temperance seems to like really pointing out to you why some of these changes need to happen. I often feel when I see the Three of Swords like I could have given someone three chances and that's it. Three chances and you're out. Three strikes. You're out of here. Hello, Leo's ruler. The sun. Your illuminator. You know, this is your natural energy. And it is kind of a shame if someone comes along and tries to dampen that light. But I don't know. It's hard to dampen Leo's light, at least for long. And I don't see you, you know, I'm not going to say like you might not have, like, you may have waited. You know, that could have been a little bit of the Three of Swords in the Tower on someone else's energy. But now this is your illuminator. So it really illuminates everything. What's no longer working for you, what is actually working against you. But this to me feels like a brand new day, planting brand new seeds. And then, well, hello, Ace of Cups. Wow. Ace of Cups. Over the Nine of Cups. Fulfillment of wishes, right? But then the Hangman. It kind of feels like you're meant to focus on your money, on your creativity, not just money, but on your creativity. Because your creativity may be something that leads you on this new path, and it may be business ownership. But I feel like that's important. And that's why the hangman is like, oh, there's love coming, but there's certain areas in your life that need your attention first. So it's not like this ace is not going to come in. It's just going to come in the right time. And the sun right next to it. That tells you that this love is coming in the light. What does that mean? That means that this is someone who, they know their shadow self. And I feel like that's what you've been learning and learning how to control it. And I feel the same for them. Again, shared interest, but maybe even shared, um, like heartache and the things that each of us had to go through, but on an individual level. Because I don't feel like this Ace of Cups has anything to do with this tower or anyone who is in that tower. I feel like that is meant to end. That's why the death card is there. That door is meant to close, or it would serve you to close that door, which I feel like means that you really just want to trust in yourself. It's like your spirit guides are saying, you have this wisdom, you have spirituality, you have what it takes to do whatever you want to do. You just have to be willing to take a step into it. And that's kind of when the Eight of Pentacles, what I'm doing. And I feel like the rest just follows. When it's coming over Divine's energy, that means epiphanies and ideas. It's going to be illuminated to you. To me, it means that you're probably doing something pretty important. I feel like you've gone from a time of, let's say, insecurities around money, but also in other areas of your life. And you're coming into truth. It's like you know now what you need to do. You know what needs to go for what you want to really enter. That means that you're understanding energy at the same time. Sometimes we want love and we want it now. But I feel like, who knows? Maybe if you would have fallen in love, you never would have created what you're creating in the Nine of Pentacles. And with the Eight of Pentacles coming over Temperance, and I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but that's divine energy, and it's talking about what you can build. This person is like focusing on her craft. She's honing her craft. And who knows, this person who's admiring you in the Three of Pentacles, and often I feel like it's unspoken, but maybe it will be spoken. Let's see. Damn, Seven of Swords again. But we'll come back to that. Page of Pentacles. And then, hello, Four of Wands. Here's the marriage card. And you know what's interesting is it didn't come out in the beginning. It came out in the end. That, my friends, is true love. And yes, in tarot, it represents the marriage card. But, you know, when you read it through your spirituality, it means so much more. You know, it's like having the soulmates out here. And, who knows, maybe they'll still come out because I'm going to clarify a couple things. But what I was going to say with the soulmates is often you'll see them looking eye to eye, soul to soul. They're on the same vibrational level. They're in the same vibrational energy. And I feel like both of you, them and you, it definitely feels like your spirituality. You know, it's interesting because I feel like in the top line, maybe I didn't pull on my spirituality as much as I now know I can. And I feel like in the second line, that's what you're learning, especially with the Page of Pentacles here. So everything that I said in the beginning is showing. This is a path of knowledge. This is taking everything you've learned, and how beautiful that it's connected to the Magician. So it's taking your wisdom, coming over the Hierophant, but it's also taken like everything that you've been through, the highs, the lows, but this is about what you've overcome and what you're still learning. You know, I feel like the Page of Pentacles, it talks about our life. Like we're always learning, we're always evolving. We have that opportunity. So I feel like you're kind of looking at life differently now as we get to the second line. Oh, so this wasn't like this hard energy wasn't to punish me, it was to teach me. Yes. Some may say, well, that just seems completely unfair. But what I would say to you is, I feel the strongest of souls take on the hardest of lessons in this lifetime. Your soul may have chose some of these hard lessons, but why? Because your soul knew. Well, I shouldn't say your soul knew, because your soul doesn't know. Your spirit knows. But that you can overcome this. At least you felt that way. And it is showing you overcoming it. Not only overcoming it, but look how you're growing from it. So, what started as a tower has now resulted in you having financial security, but even beautiful inner harmony, and then wishes coming true, but wishes of a much higher vibration. Seven of Swords again, I can't help but think, because it's next to the Ace of Cups, I don't feel like these two are connected. I feel like what this is saying is the person that, let's just say that you give your heart to, I feel like they have also, well, they had to learn to use that sword because they probably were dealing with someone who carried untrustworthy energy. But I feel like they have evolved from it also. And I feel like that's a little bit of the hangman. I do feel the soulmate's energy. And I know Temperance make sure, like one of her jobs, I feel, is to make sure that both the cups of the soulmates are equally filled. And that can be part of what divine timing is. I may be ready, but maybe the other person isn't quite there yet. Or they're ready, but you're still, you're about to be ready. That's what I feel. You're about to be ready. I mean, how beautiful is this? The Ace of Cups, the Four of Wands, true commitment, true love, and the Sun. Like, there is nothing to fear here. The Six of Cups, some of you, again, can be someone that you already know, but it's not this person, the Seven of Swords person. And if they do, because again, Cancer's energy can bring people back. And in the Six of Cups, this could be someone coming back. But also, in the Seven of Swords, don't be surprised if they also try to make a repeat appearance. And what I would say is, baby, I gave you 3 chances, and that's all I'm giving. I feel like there's no way they have a chance with you in any way. I even feel that if, let's say, at work, you were dealing with someone, and again, maybe people weren't listening to you. Maybe you lost a job over it. I wouldn't be surprised if you get called back. But I would ask the question, is so and so still there? Or has this energy changed? Because if it hasn't changed, I have no interest. But to be honest, I feel like you're on to other things anyway. So, all right. Okay, so let's start with the tower. Four of Swords, beautiful. So, it can hold you down for a moment, but not for long. Healing. Exactly what needed to happen. What this is also, I feel, saying is this is energy that it's important to clear it. In other words, don't carry it along with you. Like, allow it to heal and then allow it to go. So that's great news. So, you know, all right. I feel like because everything feels pretty clear, I want to move your major arcana, your ruler, the sun, that's connected to the Four of Wands, the marriage card, which Mother Mary also brought out. By the way, she also brought out love. Hello, Ace of Cups, love. I hope you are noticing the synchronicities between what I picked up intuitively before your reading and then just the way things are falling. All right, but let's look at this a little deeper. And I am calling this future love. Now, um, I do want to remind you that there is an opportunity to heal existing relationships, but I feel like truth has to be number one. Hello, Empress. Beautiful, loving, nurturing, powerful, strong, creative. This is someone who takes epiphanies, ideas, and baby, she grows them. Male or female? It may just be calling for your mask or your feminine energy. It's interesting because the sun is masculine energy, and then we have feminine energy right below it. But the energy of the Empress, that's beautiful. That means that your energy has evolved. The heck with anybody else's. Your energy has evolved. The Empress is very open, open to signs. She knows that she's receiving epiphanies. It's interesting because you can see like an apple coming off the tree is about to hit her in the head. Well, that's a sign. That's an idea. That's really to use for whatever the Empress wants. The mother figure. I mean, you add your ruler, the sun, your energy, and in the Empress's energy, it's like you're really unstoppable. We have the moon, interesting, feminine energy again. We have what, the full moon, I believe in Capricorn, but the moon, the moon can represent, interesting, we have the sun and the moon. I just realized that. Again, masculine and feminine. Now, let's say you're in a same sex relationship or will be, then, just know what you're, too feminine, just put yourself where you feel like you fit. Okay. There could be something with the full moon that may be introduction time. Okay. That's a lot. But we're gonna take start with what's face up. Hello, Knight of Wands. Passion rushing in. By the way, just look at the direction. It's coming into the reading. Into the reading. We have the Nine of Wands. And then the Eight of Wands. Fast moving energy. So, fast moving energy back to back. But the Eight of Wands to me is really what I think about, I bring about. And I kind of love the Nine of Wands before that because this is a different type of reflection. Nines are often about reflection, but remember, it's about final reflection. I'm not meant to reflect forever. So in the Nine of Wands, this is you understanding like the challenges that you've been through, the things that you've overcome. It's what's made you who you are today. And this is something you should be very proud of. Coming under the Empress's energy. So, passion connected to this Ace of Cups. Remember, every knight's going to complete their mission. So, whether I choose to accept it or not will be up to me. And that ties back to the Seven of Cups. Even the Two of Wands. I feel like Two of Pentacles is talking more about your money, your work, where the Seven of Cups, I feel like, is talking more about this love. For existing relationships, I feel like what this is saying is with true reflection, like each reflecting upon themselves. Um, but in a way, so that I can be better. I definitely feel like that helps. But right now, this kind of feels like love that's coming in. But did you expect it? I'm wondering. I don't think you expected it. You may have been thinking about it. Again, what I think about, I bring about. That ties me back to the death card where that person's in bed. And it reminds me of like what I said, my head on my pillow. Who did I think about? Did I actually manifest that? Remember, you have the magician over here. Okay, let's pick this up. And I don't know. It's like, I don't know if I need to clarify anything else. Let's look at the hangman. I mean, I kind of already get why it's here, but let's go ahead and look at it. Full. Beautiful. That means one is ready and willing to take a leap of faith. This does talk about something new. Even if it's old, it's new again. Like when Sam and I reconnected, we had to get to know each other again, like as adults, because we were teenagers. So this is about taking a leap of faith. I'm looking at the hangman. We have the hermit. And then we have the 10 of wands. All right. So it kind of feels like the hermit who is seeking spirituality, right? Seeking the light. The hermit often does go through the dark night of the soul. And this is where many lessons are really learned. And one of the main lessons we learn in the hermit's energy is, we're seeking the light. And what we figure out in that energy is, oh, wait a minute. I am the light, right? I am my own savior. I am the creator. It's like working hand in hand with the creator. Remember, you're the one who has the pen. You're writing your story. Do you want to get stuck here? Or do you want to go on this adventure? Because it feels exciting. I feel like you have clarity now. It feels like over everything. I feel like for some of you, you may have been in a period of time where, you could be a single mom or a single dad, and you could have been, in this period where, like, really all the responsibility is on your shoulders. And it is. I mean, I know that energy. Um, but yet, I feel like, something seems to be changing or lifting, whether it's like a helping hand that comes in, or for some of you, maybe you're becoming empty nesters, or your children are getting old enough where you can now focus on like your dreams, Ten of Wands makes me feel like I probably put, my wishes and dreams on the back burner. But maybe you had to for a while. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we have to. But now it feels like, okay, that was then, this is now. So that hangman who really is seeking wisdom to use on this physical plane brings out the fool. By the way, the fool, with the fool's greatest mentors right here, never that far away. And even how I said I feel like you're going to be opening up spiritually. I know many of you are already open spiritually, but I feel like your spirituality is just going to continue to evolve. It's just going to evolve. Some of you are going to start believing in love in a different way. You know, it's like I can look back and say, all right, I get it. There's different levels and vibrations of love. And each vibration is a stepping stone to the next, to the higher vibration. But without the stepping stones, the wisdom, how could I evolve? Like, if I didn't have that, how can I evolve? But you have that. That's exactly what I feel like. These stepping stones are here to help you create what feels like a life unimagined. Like how do I say this? Like, I don't know. Like some of you may be feeling like this is unbelievable. I know I say like a lot. You know, it's funny when I started doing my podcast, I put captions on it. And you know, sometimes I'll watch them to make sure they turned out okay. But I realized through the captions, like how many, like there I said like again. I also say, you know, a lot. But I can't, you know, I know I've had a few comments where people said that. And I don't want to censor myself. You know, I don't want to think about like what I'm saying because I feel like I need to be more free flowing. And sometimes that brings along not such great grammar. Anyway, all right. I think what I want to do is bring out the clarifying love situations. You know, it's interesting. I have more and more people telling me that they're really loving this deck. And I'm glad to hear that because I want you to like the decks um, as much as I do because these readings are for you. All right. Wow. We got a lot, but I'm going to take them because they're all face up. Um, by the way, there's a message on either side. So you let them just be the way they came out. Magic within. Create a space for personal growth and self discovery. You know, that's what my office is to me. It's like my safe haven. It is my magical space. And there's so much more I want to do with it. But look at that. Create space for personal growth and self discovery. Healing mirage. See through illusions. Navigate dangers and find solace in therapy's guidance. Mm. Enlighten truths. Share your insights, spreading awareness with the power of honesty. That kind of feels like what some of you are doing, like, I want to say in a career, but it just feels like who you are now. We have truths unveiling. Confront issues with honesty, revealing secrets to light the way forward. And last but not least, devotion blooms. Nurture both blossoms and thorns with tenderness. That's kind of the Empress's energy. All right, last but not least, because love is in the picture, we shall bring out the romance angels. Give them a cut. All right. Very soon. Very soon. Clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now. Well, hello with the Fool, the Magician, and the High Priestess, and Temperance, and more. I feel like this is not about like, I mean, it's up to you, but I feel like the best way to manifest is not to put um like specific terms that it must be. This person must be dark, tall, and handsome. This person must have blonde hair and blue eyes. Listen, maybe that's your regular type, and maybe that hasn't turned out so well. So I feel like really the best thing to say here is I want someone who's loyal. I definitely want shared values. Someone who can lift me up and me them. Someone who will love me and show me the love. But remember, you also need to be what it is that you ask for. And what I mean by that is if you're looking for great love, then you got to be willing or able to give great love. Like attracting like, love attracting love. But this is giving us a point of time. And with the Eight of Wands, where to go, and the Knight of Wands, I think I picked it up. Both are very fast moving energy. Stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. Okay, let's see if anything else. And she's looking right over it very soon. It's almost like she's got this beautiful offering of a wreath of flowers. We have finances and career. This is exactly why the hangman was out. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. And I simply feel like what this is saying to you, Leo, is your money, your career, what you do in the world. Even side hustles that can become main hustles. But that does feel like what Temperance was talking about. And then, hello, chemistry. There's a strong magnetic attraction here. So, finances and career, that's what the top line was talking about. And other things. And now, it just feels like it's a different Leo. From the top line to the second line, it's a different Leo. It's Leo back to Leo, which I love. So, whoever is coming in this Ace of Cups, it's an opportunity for it to come soon. It's asking you to stay optimistic about your love life, right? It is like the law of attraction. What I think about, I bring about. And maybe that's why I'm saying, like, don't put too many limitations on exactly the way something must be, Because when temperance or divine is involved, you have nothing to fear, my friend. Matter of fact, I feel like I want to take one more round. Well, that didn't take long. Past life relationship. You have known each other before. I already knew that. I knew that. I knew that. And then pay attention to the red flags. The red flags are cautioning you. Interesting. Because I don't feel like the red flags have anything to do with this past life relationship. And even though this is a past life relationship, which means you're soulmates or twin flames, it just feels like it's coming back around. But it feels like just as it was meant to. So no wonder there's this magnetic chemistry between the two. No wonder you're going to have shared interest. It just feels divinely guided. It just does. It feels divinely guided. Just need to get you through. Let's hope this is just a week. You know what I mean? And then at the full moon is like everything changes. When is the full moon? I think it's the 16th. I think. Remember though, Mercury's going into retrograde. So anybody who's starting like something new, and if there's contracts, make sure you really read them. Like read the small print. Um, but other than that, I feel like let's let it be. It all started with Mother Mary, marriage and love. And every single bit of it has shown. Everything I felt in the beginning, intuitively, psychically, was what showed. That's how much I trust our guides. Like, they just seem to never let me down or let us down. I feel like when you see a reading that talks about someone learning about how to use energy to their benefit, it changes your life. It changes your life. And if you get stuck in these webs, don't think that's the end. Look at it differently. Like, okay, what is this trying to show me? What is it trying to teach me? And then that hangman, where I literally feel like it was divine who put a pause. Because, again, there's other areas of your life that are just as important. But now, now, all is possible. Now, everything is flowing. Your energy, your beliefs, someone else's energy. Wow. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it there, Leo. Um, you always have the most interesting readings. I have to say, though, you are the sign who watches at least my readings the least amount, which, I don't know why, but it's like, I want more Leos to watch their readings because I feel like your readings are always, like a great movie or a great book. And that's why I love doing tarot because that's what I feel. It's like it's showing me your movie, your book. And I don't want to get hung up on a chapter, right? I want to be able to turn the page. And that's exactly what's happening here. I loved it. I love you. I thank you guys. I'll see you next time at our table. Bye bye.